All right, so today I'm going to talk about rumination. We all know what rumination is. It's just like when you have something going on in your mind and you're almost like obsessing over it, or it's just something that's occurring, like it's just a story playing out over and over in your mind. And a lot of the times we can't get it out of our head and we go off on different side tangents about these ruminations, and it can be a lot of flutter of a lot of different emotions. And I think we all ruminate differently, but yeah, we all have our different stories and like what our triggers are, and maybe what emotions or patterns of emotions that are lining up. And then another thought reminds you of it, and now we're in the cycle again. So that's rumination for a lot of people. And I'm just going to talk about three things that you can do when you find yourself ruminating. But I first want to just explain what I think ruminating is. So it's actually just a powerful thought or emotion that's just got you hooked. It's it's something that feels like it like weighs you down because it's a distraction. Your energy is literally being poured into these thoughts and these stories and these festering balls of energy. That's what I would call them. And I feel like if you find yourself in rumination, it's really important to know what to do about it. So that's why I'm going to talk about three different things, because if you leave it unchecked, I believe that it gets like stored in your body. I don't know for sure, but it feels like when people ruminate, I can feel that their energy is going somewhere, and some people can trap it, some people can release it in weird ways. Some people can put it on other people, but I feel like there's a safe way to let go of rumination. And the first one is just, I call it letting go, but noticing that they're stories and they're not truth. Like a lot of the times when I noticed that I would ruminate, it would be a lot of me telling myself things that aren't true. And I told myself one day, like, if I catch myself ruminating and I'm going down this unideal path of thoughts, I'm gonna stop myself and I'm gonna figure out how to just let it go. And I don't always do like the best job at like letting it go, but I do notice that I catch myself more and more like easily each time. And yeah, I mean, I had a really bad problem with ruminating, that it would get me like festering so bad that I would be making like I'd be like alone, but I'd be making hand gestures and I'd be like just just mad and just throwing my hands around. And it's like if I'm doing that, then like my whole physical body is feeling that, and I'm living it. I'm living in that storyline. And what I did is I caught myself every time I noticed myself in a storyline, and I would be like, okay, you're in a story that's not happening and it's not true. And if it's not true, you have to stop. And, I don't think that works for everyone, but that alone worked for me, because I just would gently tell myself, like, this is not what you want, or like, this is not how you wanna spend your energy. You don't wanna be sitting in just frustration and balling up, like, energetically like, clenching. And none of it's, like, positive, none of it's going anywhere. So, the first one is just, like, stop it or let it go. But I've noticed that lately I've been trying a new thing, and I'm trying to learn from it. So if there's rumination, it makes so much sense that we're ruminating because we're like telling ourselves like, or we're showing ourselves what happened. Like sometimes your memory is like replaying something like over and over. And if I notice myself doing that, I'm like, what am I supposed to be like? What are you showing me? Why am I seeing this story over and over? And sometimes it's a memory, sometimes it's someone saying something and you're replaying the voice over and over. So people all ruminate differently, but I just feel like there's a lesson in there, because I don't think our brains just get stuck on things for no reason. I think like there is a reason and we just need to figure that reason out. So we have to learn from it. So there's let go and then there's learn from it and let go. Because I feel like once you learn what it is, it just goes away. It doesn't It's not something you have to forcefully be like, "Okay, time to let go now," like what I was saying with the first one, just, like, try to stop it and put, like, a stop or an end point, like, sometimes I used to say, like, "I'll allow myself to ruminate for 5 minutes, but after 5 minutes, like, we're done, like, I'm not doing this all day." 15 minutes would be, like, the top, but that would be, like, if I know I'm supposed to learn from it, I'm supposed to, like, capture something, and, yeah, it turns into almost like a meditation where I'll, like, sit back, I'll close my eyes, I'll hold my hand to my heart, and I'll just be like, "What are you trying to tell me?" Um, so that's one option for rumination. Another one I think that is really powerful is taking action. So if you feel like you have like a story going on, and especially if you're playing storylines out in your head, like, "Oh, well, when they did this, I just wish I said this, and I wish I did this instead," or um, what if they said this after and then I said this after? So if you're doing things like that where you have like a storyline going in your mind, I think the best thing to do would be figure out how to take action. So say I had like a bad conversation play out between me and like a friend. Maybe that action is like apologizing to them, like, "Hey, like I just said this thing and I can't stop thinking about it and I feel like I need to fix it and I don't know how." Maybe you do know how because you've played that out in your mind. But taking action is like you could be reaching out to people, or sometimes like it doesn't have to be anyone in the story or in the situation that happened. Maybe it's just like taking action by reaching out to someone else and just saying like, "Okay, this happened and I can't stop thinking about it and I just need to get it off my chest." So that could be a form of taking action, but a lot of the times if you're really listening to what your rumination is telling you and there's a lesson that needs to be learned, I feel like it makes sense that there would be a following action to take. And if you feel like there's no outward or external like action that you can possibly take, then I think forgiveness comes into play. And that might be the action, but it's also the third of the things that you can do with rumination. And I feel like forgiveness is really big because when I would ruminate, it would be over things that like I did wrong, or I said something really embarrassing, or I would like overthink how I said something because maybe they interpreted it or misunderstood it. And I would just like ruminate over it. And sometimes I would just have to like go inward and say, like, "You know what? Hey, I'm sorry. You you just said something really embarrassing or you just did something embarrassing and I forgive you because we're human and we're not perfect." And sometimes it's really embarrassing, but sometimes I'm mean and I don't mean to be mean, but I don't notice it until like later. So, I feel like sometimes it's important to forgive yourself, and if you feel that it's necessary, take action, but ultimately the goal is just letting things go because we tend to carry too much in our bodies and we tend to carry too much in our mind. So, if there's anything that you can do when it comes to rumination, I think the best thing would be to stop, listen, allow that story to play out, but also time yourself and say you're not going to go past 5, 10, or 15 minutes. And then find out if there's any action that needs to be taken. And then find where forgiveness is needed, whether for yourself or for others. Because it could be a story where someone else is doing something and you can't stop like thinking about it over and over. And maybe you do have to forgive them. Sometimes it's not easy, but that's what the rumination is calling for. So try to find a positive way to look at rumination because it's there for a reason. It's never going to just be there for you to just hold and harbor in your body and then have to address later. It's like you can address it right then and there and just trust that it will be let go of. Like your body, once you process it and you learn from it, especially if you're doing something with that energy, like taking appropriate action or forgiving in an appropriate way, like a heartfelt way, whether towards yourself or others, then that rumination will dissipate. It will, it just will. So I hope that helped, and I'm excited to share more of those with you.